Man up. Manifestation.
A place where we inform, build, and inspire.
Manifestation. Man up. Manifestation. Man up. Manifestation. Man up.
A place where we inform.
Manifestation.
A place where we inform, build, and inspire.
You gotta eat what you kill. You gotta go out there. You gotta hunt for your meals.
We all have that ability to connect with people, to be that motivational person in somebody's life.
You gotta let people know there's certain lines you don't cross, and that there's gonna be consequences if you do.
Man up.
If you are an adult and you are in a relationship, that person's emotions are not your responsibility.
Man up. Manifestation. Man up. Manifestation. Man up. Manifestation.
A place where we inform, build, and inspire.
The devil, during slavery, destroyed the masculinity or manhood of the so-called Negro. No man. Right now you got to be trained all over again to be a man.
When someone is obligated to do something, it is binding upon them to do it. And failure to do it causes reaction.
Man up.
Position make you rich? I don't have that type of richness. My richness is life forever.
If that people knew their glorious past, if that people knew their glorious past, if that people knew their glorious past, then they would be more inclined to respect themselves.
I'm not saying I'm going to rule the world or I'm going to change the world, but I guarantee that I will spark the brain that will change the world. And that's our job, is to spark somebody else watching us.
A place where we inform, build, and inspire.
Manifestation. Man up. Manifestation. Man up. Manifestation. Man up.
A place where we inform.
Manifestation.
A place where we inform, build, and inspire.
You want to tell me about yourself? Go get your friends. I'll tell you who you are based on who your friends are.
Don't just live and die. That's an ugly existence. Make your life matter. Make your life count. Live a life where people can actually mourn you for the things you left behind, not just because you were around and existed.
We need strong black nuclear family.
Yes.
That's what it is. Mother, father, son, daughter, all in the same house with a focus on the family unit as a whole.
We had Tulsa, Atlanta, New Jersey, Detroit. We had Rosewood. We had Black Wall Streets all over.
The Republicans aren't for us, but the Democrats aren't for us either. And we should have no alliance to any political party. We only have alliance to what is in our own best interest.
A place where we inform, build, and inspire.
Manifestation. Man up. Manifestation. Man up. Manifestation. Man up.
A place where we inform.
Manifestation.
A place where we inform, build, and inspire.
At the end of the day, as men in the community, we must stand together and be counted, because people look to us for guidance, leadership, and protection. And if we are not about that business, we are not on our job. Here we have grown-ass man conversations in the spirit of that purpose. Anthony Malcolm, Bobby Drake, Major Gage. We are. This is Manifestations 2020.
Manifestation. Man up. Manifestation.
A place where we inform, build, and inspire.
Yeah. What's going on?
All right. Welcome to another week of Manifestations 2020. I am your co-host, and you got your main host tonight, which is Major Gage, constructing this interview with our beautiful and lovely sister, Milah Renee Imhotep. As you guys remember, we had a great first interview, and we're about to bring a fire second interview of a much needed topic. There was a lot of things that we didn't address the first time go around that will be addressed this go around. and Major Gage will be navigating that interview tonight. All right. With that being said, hand it over to my man, Major.
What's going on? What's going on, everybody? How y'all doing?
What's up?
Y'all feeling good? Milah, you
Feeling
ready?
great.
You doing just lovely. Lovely.
Yes, Bobby Drake in the building, Anthony Malcolm, Milah Renee. This is a powerhouse panel tonight. And, you know, I titled tonight's show Dating, Pan-Africanism, and On-Code Behavior because I wanted to tailor make the topics around the guest. You know, anytime we have a woman in the vicinity of the show, we want to make sure that we talk about Black love. We want to talk about Black dating, marriage, so forth and so on. When you got Milah Renee, a person on the level of a Milah Renee with the gravity that a Milah Renee brings to the situation whenever she comes around, you need to make an effort to talk about Pan-Africanism and on-code behavior, because for me, those are like your areas of specialty. You understand what I'm saying? And so I want to be sure that I speak to those things and really just kind of give you a chance to flourish. I know we only got you for an hour tonight, sister. So I want to kind of get right to it, if that's okay with you. First
Sounds
of all,
good.
that's good. Anybody have anything they like to say before we get into it?
Yeah. My apologies to your husband. He says I'm slaughtering your last name. Can you give me the pronunciation of how to say your last name?
Imhotep. It's really Imhotep, but Imhotep.
Imhotep. Okay, gotcha.
All right. It is. It is. That's
my bad, King. Don't want to disrupt you. I ain't trying to mess up your legacy.
Shout out to brother Amun as well. That's my guy. Look, these guys are family. They are friends of the show.
Oh, yeah.
Extraordinarily sharp people. And we just rock with y'all, man. We rock with y'all heavy. So
for sure. He love y'all. Trust me. That's why he said it. Otherwise, he'd have been like that.
Nah, that's what's up. We appreciate the correction. That, you know, that type of stuff. Let me tell you something. You know, it's real when people appreciate the correction or the respectful critique or whatever. Like, we want to get your names right. You know what I'm saying? So
absolutely.
That's what's up. I had this very, very interesting question that I came across, and I want to just kind of set the tone with this and get a general feel for how you feel about this. So tell me, how do you feel about feminism, and how has it affected Black relationships specifically, if you will, good sister?
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm okay. Yeah, that is that's loaded on so many levels. I'm definitely I'm not for it. I don't support it. I definitely know that it was never for us. It will never be about us. There's nothing we can do to ever make it effective for us. That was a battle that was never for Black women. That was for white women who were fighting with their own men to be more masculine than them, if you will. Black women historically never had that issue. We understood our duty and our role within the community, within the nation. So we were never battling our men. We worked together in sync. But when the white woman came along with her problems and her tears, and you had Black women who might have been going through something, they said, okay, let me jump on this bandwagon so I can get a little more of this and that. And then the destruction constantly happens. The doors open for all the drama and the madness and the dysfunction to come into our harmonious way of living as Black people, because again, we understood balance, we understood order, with the man being the head, the woman also, being his chief advisor, so to speak, but she didn't have to be ahead of him. She was there in her role to support him. So I think that from bell hooks on down to these new rappers and to all these others, it was never our fight. And you have so many Black women now who they really don't even understand it. So they've taken on this battle that's not even theirs. And in the sense where it's like, I'm going to constantly put this war. I got to make up this war between Black men that we're fighting and we're not. It's affected Black women to the point where most Black women will respect a homosexual male before they will a straight male because he relates to my struggle. He's a feminist too. And you even have men who are identifying as feminists now, which is very weak, to say the least. You know, that's my nice word for that, my kind word. Nice is naive. But it's trash. It's not for us. It is detrimental. It's just like the welfare system, removing the Black man. Feminism does the same. It takes away our order. It takes away our structure. And it definitely just goes against code in every way for what we stand for what we're trying to build.
Wow. Did you see these questions before I put them up? God damn, you just knocked that one out the park. Like, whoa.
No.
Whoa. Full disclosure to the audience. She did not see any of these questions.
Marietta Bonds.
Man,
listen.
Nuclear.
Y'all.
Bobby, your mic is a little low. Can you test your mic? It's a little low, brother.
Well, that's on me. Oh.
I see it. We see it every day. It's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah. And it's no, I didn't see any questions. I'm speaking from my heart, and I hope it reaches somebody's. But that's it.
Wow.
Well,
okay.
I think that's the thing about it. When you live it, it seems rehearsed. Because that's just part of your nature to respond in that way. You're going to respond like that 24/7. So that's why it goes off like it is rehearsed. But in actuality, that's something that you live by. Once you live by something, you pretty much know the ins and outs of it. So the response is going to be thorough, fact-based, and everything like that. You know, nothing she said, you can't debunk that. That's straight facts.
All facts. And that's kind of why I wanted to have Milah on here, because I've heard so many women try to answer that question, and you know what ends up happening? They straddle the fence and they don't want to offend nobody, and they want to be somebody's friend, and you know they got one of them moist niggas that's a feminist that, you know, they don't want to offend him neither. You understand what I'm saying? So they don't tell the damn truth. I know Milah is gonna spit that shit with her chest and go all the way in. I love it. I love it. Bobby Drake, what you got?
No, man. Again, when you got an Iron Chef in the kitchen,
yeah,
your job is to stand the hell up out the way, watch them get that wok working,
yeah,
and simply hold out your plate and get ready in advance for seconds. That's what I'm doing.
Come on.
It's going down.
If the light switch goes on, I'll ask. But until then, let her cook.
Let that woman cook. Because look, and let me tell you something. I see the most bizarre things. You know, tonight, it was me that was hosting the show. So I needed to go out and do the research and, you know, find the clips and, you know, just come up with the topics of discussion. And the most difficult part for me was weeding out some of the most toxic shit that I saw. You understand what I'm saying? Like wow. If you're covering dating and relationships and you're one of those smut merchants, you'll never run out of shit. It is just a plethora, just a gift that keeps on giving. You know, as far as just trash on the internet, you know, and things that make our people look bad and cast Black women in a very negative light. I was talking to Ant before we went on. I'm like, yo, you know, people say, you know, because every time that you're a show where, you know, you have some type of critique of women, somebody is going to take it personally. And, you know, they're going to be like, oh, you hate women or whatever the case may be. And I'm like, man, if they only knew the stuff that we were omitting because we don't want to make sisters look bad.
Right.
It's crazy. And, you know, I saw a lot of stuff, but I saw some things that was just very bizarre. And I wanted to get your take on some of them. This video in particular was very bizarre to me. And I want to see what you feel on this.
Boyfriends, brothers, uncles, grandpa, cousins, it just shouldn't be allowed to happen. Any small girl should not be exposed to a man in that way. It shouldn't happen at all. And that is a conversation that one of my friends and I just had. She just left. She came over for a little while. She does have a daughter, and she came over for a little while and we were talking. In the process of her changing her, she mentioned, you know, I get exhausted changing all these diapers and I wish that my husband could help. And I asked her why he couldn't if you're married. And she said she just feel like men shouldn't be able to change girl diapers. We went down a whole rabbit hole about how men should and shouldn't be able to change young girl diapers. And after she left, I just still couldn't believe that that's just the thought process of some people. And not even the fact that she feels that way, but there's many women out there who feel that way. Now, I've been a victim of SA before, and I know many women do cause them to make decisions, such as not wanting their any men in their life to change girl diapers. But I'm always curious to know what you guys think, and how do you feel on the topic. Being that I'll be giving birth in 3 weeks to a baby boy, I can't imagine restricting my husband on changing our son or our future daughter if we have one. But I'm curious to know what you guys think on the topic. And
so this was a very bizarre one. It just kind of struck me, you know, and I had a really instant response to it. It kind of bothered me. And, you know, shout out to that sister. She was, just in case people in the audience didn't catch it, she wasn't saying that she feels that way. She was articulating a point on behalf of someone else, that a lot of women, her women that she knows and just other women abroad, a lot of women feel like it's not proper somehow for an adult male or any male to change female diapers. It's one of the most bizarre things I've heard in a while, but I want to hear what a sister's take on that is. Could you bless us with your gift on that particular topic, sister?
You know, brother, for me, it seems like it's more, if her friend is thinking that way, she's projecting, you know, maybe something that she's experienced, or she didn't choose well. Because why would you think that the man that you're with, not the sister, of course, but the one that she's with, why would you think that the man that you're with, that you chose to procreate with, will be changing his own daughter's diaper and thinking something other than the fact that I'm getting this mess off my daughter? I'm keeping my daughter dry and clean. Like, why, how did her friend's mindset even go into that? You know, to me, it in that case, it just comes down to her thinking. Why did you choose somebody that you feel this way about? And then you also have to think about the fact, something that Brother Bobby brought up in the last show, which was in the show before the last, but people dealing with trauma and not having therapy. Something is going on within her for her to still be, or just to even have that thought, because there's no way as a woman, I lay down with this man, we made children, now you can't change her diaper because she's a girl. Or can we go back to, there's a lot, but that the idea that women don't know how to kind of complete each other, but like to compete. You know, maybe that psychology of that first daughter, black daughter, you know, first mother-daughter relationship, where I don't want to compete with her later and make, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's some sickness to that. That's not normal. Because why would the father? That blows my mind. That's crazy. You chose this man, but now you think that him changing your daughter is somehow going to be sexualized, or it's wrong. That's crazy.
Okay, real quick though, I hear what you're saying. I follow the logic, but let me push back just a little bit, because yes, she did speak on this in terms of a man, but her broader generalization was towards men in general.
Men in general
should not be allowed to do this to girl babies. You understand what I'm saying? So can we speak to that particular part of it? Because I get what you're saying on that note, but no, she's not just saying that. She's saying, so in other words, any man that she selected, don't matter. Just by virtue of the fact that you are a man, you should not be allowed to change baby girl diapers.
Again, it's insanity. It's just crazy. Even if you think about it, if you're raising your son, and this is his sister or cousins or whatever, you can't change her because she's a girl. Again, maybe it's because people are so over sexualized in general that they think about everything in terms of somebody's looking at this child inappropriately. But that's crazy. Or maybe feminism has something to do with that. Maybe in some way she feels, or this person has been taught, because most likely that's what it is. Somebody, her grandma, her mama, somebody told her that. So that's her train of thinking. But it's crazy. It's like you want to be equal in so many ways for those who do practice feminism or support it. But you can change the boys. You could be just as perverted. Any woman could be just as perverted as any man. I mean, I know a lot of brothers who experience some things. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. Should we say sexist? Should we say really just ignorant? That's just ignorance.
I think it's sexist at best, and I think it's sexist at best, and acutely misandrist at its most despicable. My God! Whoa! You can cut the misandry with a knife. And what you say? What you say, Aunt?
I stay away from women like that, to be honest with you. I mean, it's her choice, her trauma, her beliefs. It's just sad to me that you even looking at your husband. This is a guy that you pretty much committed a vow to, death do us part. He's basically there to provide and protect for the family. And when it comes down to women always talking about household chores being slave-like, or feel like you're in slavery, wouldn't you want your husband to be out here sharing the responsibilities of you?
Come on now.
If your husband died if you died in a car accident, or you happen to die from cancer or whatever, who the hell's gonna change your daughter's diaper? Now, would you want him to go and pay a nanny to do it, who might end up kidnapping your child and bringing them somewhere else, maybe foreign, and putting your child in jeopardy because of a ideology that is stuck in your head, whether it's due from trauma or just generational negative thinking passed down to you? It doesn't make sense to me. As a man who, we talk about nation building, as a nation builder, the whole village is part of the community. And, there's plenty of times where I've been in relationships and been a step parent. I had to wipe some asses. You know what I'm saying? They're younger adults. They're under my care. If I'm out, they mess themselves up. I had to do that. I had to take care of that because I couldn't say, oh, I got to take you back and wait till your mom. No, these kids, they generate rashes. All type of things can go wrong in that situation. As a young man growing up, my mother taught me how to change the diapers of my sister. She was working 2 jobs. My mother could not be around us all the time. I was old enough to manage the household, and I had those household responsibilities because my younger sisters was in the house with me. Right. She showed me how to put the cream in, how to make sure that they're dry, how to check their diapers and things like that. And if you have a sick mind in that way where you're thinking that everybody who's doing it is doing it out of perversion and not out of love, you're going to live a long, miserable life. And I'll land my plane on that.
All facts. Bobby Drake.
First off, I want to say, and I swear I have the reputation, Bill already pointed it out, but almost every episode we have, I find a reason to mention therapy and how we need to go and get back into therapy. And it sounds like a broken record. It sounds like I don't have anything else to say.
You on point, Bobby.
But once again, here we are. And fellas, and look, I, with my whole heart, I advocate for this. Y'all need to go and have premarital counseling. You can ask, you can vet and ask all the questions that you want to beforehand, independently when y'all dating, but you are not a licensed professional.
Yeah.
And even if you were one, this is an intimate relation that you have. There's a blind spot there. Lawyers don't go to court to represent themselves. Johnny Cochran had a lawyer.
Facts.
All right. The best doctors, they don't go and do surgery on themselves and have the nurse assist them. They go to see doctors and surgeons. All right. Every professional has a professional in their field that they go to. Some barbers may go and do the liner, but when they need full-blown cuts, barbers have their own barbers. Every professional has a professional within their field that they go see for the same services they provide others. Why? Because it is very difficult to see yourself or to see your situation properly. There's a benefit of having that outside looking in perspective where you don't have any emotional attachments. There's no connections. you're not afraid to do the difficult work or to give the tough assessment, you're right there. That's one of the reasons why it's difficult sometimes, or can be difficult, to do business with friends and family, because you need to be able to hold people accountable when stuff goes sideways. And it's difficult to go and it's difficult sometimes. It's not impossible, but it's tough for me to go and look at Ant and say, Ant, man, where's the money at, bro? I'm the only person keeping this thing afloat. It's like, well, yeah, man, I got a situation, man. I lent somebody in the middle the other day, but as soon as she pays back, I got you. If that was Ant from down the block that you don't know like that, it ain't nothing to put a foot up his ass. Or if you're going to be professional about it, haul him into court and do what needs to be done. But the person that you knew and grew up with, that's different. You need to go to a professional that not only has book smarts, they know what this is from a clinical textbook perspective, but they also have experience dealing with other people like yourself and not like yourself, and they know what questions to ask. They know what buttons to hit, what to tickle on the surface. They know that. And that's important. This brother in this situation, this man done messed up and married the enemy and don't even know it. He's literally sleeping next to, laying up with, start a family with a time bomb. His own wife believes that in any given moment, he's going to miss, and all of a sudden he's going to become Mr. Super Predator.
It's wild, bro.
And she said she doesn't want him to change the diapers, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't stop just there.
I'm sure. Yeah.
And that's what she's comfortable admitting to her friend. What things does she do that she would feel a little self-conscious about? Does she peep in, or, honey, I'm gonna go and take our daughter to checkup. Oh, I'll come with you.
Yeah.
Or, I'm gonna go drive her back out to school. No, it's okay. You can go. You were working hard last night. I'll take her.
Facts.
And it also speaks to how messed up in the head she is, because think about this. Think about it for a second now. Let's say that these fears were justified. Let's say that she has every real reason to believe that men are these predators that will prey even on their own daughters, their own flesh and blood isn't safe. What does that say about you as a woman and a mother, that knowing this, having this information, you would still go give up your body to this man, have a child with him, marry him, not necessarily in this order, but you would literally bring that threat in your house to your child. You could have gone to a sperm bank. Sperm bank. Let Dr. Miami or Dr. whoever they have that run some shows shoot the club up chemically and have your child that way. You could have gone and adopted a child. With no risk or threat of bringing a dangerous man to the picture.
Right.
But you didn't just bring a man in to do it the old-fashioned way. You married him.
Yeah.
And he's under the same roof with you and your child. And now you have to worry about this man 24/7, 365, nonstop. What does that say about you as a mother if what you're doing is legitimate?
Yeah.
But this is the mindset and mentality that she has, and she's completely oblivious to this.
It's out.
For your own personal self, all of it, you need to go and get therapy. You need to find out what's under the hood that you may not even be aware of for yourself. And second of all, you need to make sure, if you think that this person is the one that you want to make these serious commitments to, y'all need to go get therapy and make sure that y'all know who you're dealing with.
Facts. I'm gonna go ahead and shift gears a little bit to another topic that was deep. I just want to say real quick, I respect the fact that a lot of women have been sexually assaulted. Namely, a lot of Black women have been sexually assaulted. And so the lens that they look at things through is going to be quite different from the lens that I may look at things through, or the lens, of a person from any other group on earth, quite frankly. Black women are probably the least secure. I get that. I understand that. But again, you can't go through life with this thought in your mind, this preconceived notion that everybody's out to get you. It affects things on so many levels. You're not only affecting, just the mood and the temperament of the household, you're affecting this man's ability to be a father, to parent.
Absolutely.
Because you're babysitting the kid's going to poop, it's going to need his diaper change. You understand what I'm saying? So you got to go to the neighbor next door that's a woman and get her to come over. You don't know who you're bringing into your house. And the thing that misses me about this is that, a lot of these women are assuming that a woman cannot sexually assault or harm or sexually harm a female child or a child generally. This is insane. And that's why I had to share it, because I don't think that people realize this. I see sisters in the comments saying that people have told them that same thing, and Bobby often talks about the women are wonderful philosophy, where people just inherently assume that because someone is a woman that they are wonderful and they are good and they are, fantastic. And it's the exact opposite for the men, apparently, whereas people assume that if you're a man, then you must be terrible in some capacity, and therefore you represent a danger. This is a common thing. And this was particularly pronounced in this video, the way that it was that it kind of reared its ugly head, but I see that in all types of things. But again, like I said, I want to switch gears a little bit while I got you here. We only got Milah Renee for about another half hour, maybe 40 minutes. Go ahead, Milah. You have something you want to say?
We're hanging. But let me say this too. That's why it's so important. And I know to definitely reach back and actually speak to the elders within your community, not just these people. Sometimes it's your mom might be I know that video I sent you earlier today, that might be the mindset of the person that got to her in that way. You know what I'm saying? However, this is why it's so important. And brother, I appreciate you, Brother Moon God. When I first met a Moon, one of the first things you were saying was properly vet, right?
Yes.
And of course I know it, but it's always good when people are saying the same thing to you that you're thinking, etc.
Yes.
But you have to, as brothers, as Black men especially, because we know the inherent damage that feminism has caused sisters, even those who can sometimes say, oh, I'm not for it. If you watch what they do and not just what they say, you'll see that they really are for it. So you have to really understand that it's that mindset of that woman, not her booty, not her ant body, not her makeup, not her weave, none of that. None of her faking, none of that, none of her coming there trying to buy you and be Big Willie in a dress, because women do that too. You see what I'm saying? None of that is going to raise your child. Her mind, if she's sick, she's going to bring sickness into your household. If you got a son, if she's telling her father, guess what? You can't change this child. Then her son is thinking, man, what's wrong with my mama? What's wrong with women? Are women sick? Are all women going to think I'm a pervert? So he's going to walk around with this X on him thinking, oh, I'm a man. Like you said, I'm bad. Something is wrong with me. I can't do the things that my mother or my sister can do. So that mindset, if it's effed up, your home is going to be that way. You know what I'm saying? And your daughter is going to be that way. And oftentimes that mother may be the real freak in the house. But I'm going to leave it alone.
Hold up now. Hold on. Hey, everybody. I want everybody to follow Milah Renee Catering Service. Milah Renee Catering Service on IG, because this is to be cooking. Bruh. God damn.
I'm serious. We got to be real. We got to be real. I'm serious.
She don't really have a catering service, but she do be cooking. I mean, my God, that was. You see, Bobby had the spoons and shit out while you was talking, because you brought it so real though. People don't realize these small actions, these small microaggressions, and the colossal impact that they have on the entire family unit. I'm gonna switch gears real quick because I know we don't have you for a full session tonight, and that's okay. So we're going to try to get through at least 2 more topics. These 2 are important. I really want you to hit this one and let me know what you think. All right. So I've been talking about this with folks for quite some time, and I think that this is something that we need Milah Renee to kind of chime in on. How do you think we can bridge the divide between Pan-Africanists and FBAs? And I'll just kind of preface this a little bit with saying, this has been an ongoing argument for quite some time, right? And as a person who, I was raised in a Pan-Africanist FBA household, right? I was raised that way. I have on one side African father, on the other side a Black American FBA mother. You understand? And so I see it up close and personal because I've been literally in both rooms. You understand what I'm saying? And the really and truly the FBAs are the ones that are delineating right now. And there's a reason for that. Because they're, the complaint is, and unfortunately, I gotta read the mail. It's true. A lot of Black people come here from abroad and they have all types of cultural animus for FBAs.
Yeah.
Not just from Africa, where my family is from on my father's side. You understand? Not just from Haiti, not just from Jamaica, not just from Trinidad, but from everywhere. Unfortunately, they come here. We Black Americans, I was raised as a Black American, and that's, the side of the family that I really gravitate to most.
Yeah.
And growing up, I was raised to be a Pan-Africanist, but I would get around some of my pops and his friends and his people, and I would not be accepted as the son of an African. You understand what I'm saying? Come on now. And I mean, even back then, I can still remember my grandmother, giving me information from back, when I was being raised in the 80s and 90s, whatever, about how a lot of the Africans, some of my father's friends, would tell her, some of the things, when their parents would coach them on how to behave when they got here, stay away from them Black Americans.
Yeah.
You could play with them Black American girls, but don't marry them. This type of shit. You understand what I'm saying? And so I know that you are a Pan-Africanist. I know Amun is a Pan-Africanist. I support the idea of Pan-Africanism. The concept sounds amazing. The practice, not so much. And I guess, in addition to that question, with the FBAs and what they're doing right now, the delineation movement, people take it as like an offensive thing because, we're separating from the Africans and whatever. No, it's not that. It's just that, unfortunately, a lot of times when you welcome people from other groups in your group, they'll undermine your cause. And so they're trying to keep that from happening. I know that you're a proponent of Pan-Africanist causes. And I just want to know from you, how do we bridge that divide? Because I think that it can be done. But I think that attitudes have to change and people have to be willing to come out of their comfort zones a little bit.
A few things. And of course, my thoughts on this are not the end all be all, but I can tell you where I am based on what I'm experiencing currently. Yes. It all comes down to mindset, right? And figuring out what we have in common, focusing on that more than what we have that separates us. We're all Black. Agreed. That's number one. It's not about a color. It's a state of mind. It's a condition. It's who you are. You are Black, right? And I think another of the biggest things is FBA or Pan-African. Take the nigga out of both.
I agree.
When you look at yourself as a nigga, and I'm just saying, and you look at your other people, I'm better than them. Where that rugged individualism comes in, I'm better than this person within this group. I'm better than that person within this group. Then you are part of that problem. You are perpetuating that niggaism in the groups, in either groups. But the commonality again is that we're Black. I think one of the biggest struggles with FBA, minus the political things that are going on, one of the biggest struggles is something my husband, we talked about this a little bit earlier today, is the discipline that comes from it. Oftentimes with FBA, Functional Black Americans, for those of you who may not know, it is foundational, excuse me. So many are still Christian. Many are still following things that don't necessarily require discipline. But if you are a true Pan-African, there's a lot of discipline that comes with that. So a lot of times that friction comes down to that mindset of discipline. And that, that is not to be so small about it. But again, I'm only speaking from my perspective. Now, it can work because I know people who are, and they have made it work for years, who are FBA and Pan-African married in the same household.
Yes.
It's a choice and it's a mindset. It's like, my husband, he's Pan-African, not what mine is, but I'm saying, for example, this wife, her husband is Pan-African. She's still Christian because she was raised that way, but they love each other. They do have some commonalities, but that's what keeps them together, figuring out at the end of the day, we're both Black. You can have those things that you believe in, that you support, that work for you, that help you to be a better person, that help you function within whatever realm you're trying to function to get to whatever goal you're trying to get to. But also, that's part of my goal too. So how can we come together to get to that umbrella mission for that family? When you do that, that works. So when Black people, as in the foundational Black Americans and Pan-Africans, decide, again, our one thing of commonality is we're all Black.
True.
That's like I was listening to a speech my husband made a few years ago, and I always talk about him, but that is the lead in my home, right? And my heart. So what I'm saying is, I remember him saying, and it was so clear, it was like, America is a nation, right? We're a nation. And within that nation, people have common cultural goals and things like that, right? And certain mores, right? They have that. But when you look at Black people, even in America, you got the Moors, you got the Hebrew Israelites, you got the Christians, you got the Baptists, you got all these things that separate you. And at the end of the day, you're Black. So we're all Black. So we just got to focus on what we have in common, build on that, get a central mission around that. You can still think what you want to think. You can still celebrate things that you want to celebrate. But sometimes it's hard for some Pan-Africans to be with anybody who isn't Pan-African, because there is a discipline with that. If you're serious about it, you can play with anything. You can play with Christianity, you can play with Islam, you can play with any of it. But if you're serious, the discipline has to be there. So if you're disciplined about being Black,
no, I totally hear you. I totally hear you on that. I on the discipline point, I haven't seen it. I've seen lack of discipline on both sides, quite honestly.
True. Very true. Very true.
And a lot of people don't even realize you can be a foundational Black American and also be a Pan-Africanist. They're not necessarily, because a foundational Black American, that's just a lineage. It just means that you're a Black person that's a non-immigrant. That's all it is. And, they have certain beliefs, and the delineation has pushed it so much to the point where a lot of them don't feel that they can be a Pan-Africanist and also be an authentic foundational Black American. But that's a myth. I think that you hit on something very key when you said, let's focus on the things that we have in common and just work on those. We have a lot of things in common. And I when I see people online with the bickering and they go on and on and on and on and on. I get it to a certain extent, because you got to set the temperature. Hey, you can't be coming over here with certain attitudes or whatever the case may be. But what bothers me is when people dwell on it. You can't resolve anything if you dwell on a problem and a problem and a problem and a problem. There are plenty of Pan-Africanists that are riders, that are down, that will meet you halfway as FBAs. You understand what I'm saying? And I think that, the building can take place there. But exceptional response there. Anthony, what you got? I know you got something on this.
Well, it's just plain and simple. Every Black person should just understand there's one simple principle. And it goes back to part of the title of the show, on-code behavior.
Yes.
That's all it breaks down to. If you're a Black person with on-code behavior, it doesn't matter where you're from. It doesn't matter what you practice. Because even if you look at the dominant society practice white supremacy. Now they can be feminists, they could be liberals, they could be conservatives, they could be Democrats, they could be Republicans. Whatever the case may be that separates them into their different groups and enclave. At the end of the day, it don't matter if they're Republican, it don't matter if they're Democrat, it don't matter none of those things in their individual groups.
Yeah.
When they see a black person out there, they're on fucking code with that black person. And
Against
they're
them.
fucking practicing racism with that black person.
Yes.
They can have all these different ideologies. They can have these little nuanced arguments now. Oh, it's the Jews supremacy. Oh no, it's white supremacy. No,
They love to do that shit.
but then
Yeah.
at the end of the day, this Jewish guy and this white guy sees a black man in their sundown town. Guess what they're calling? The police, or they're handling it themselves.
Uh-huh.
You know what I'm
On
saying?
that
So
nigga.
they have an uncode behavior, and that's the page we need to take out of their playbook, is having that mentality. Because a lot of times, whether I start to see now, you know, if we don't get the unity now, the FBAs can get into what looks like tribalism, right? Meaning that, hey, we're just gonna deal with only FBAs because other people from the diaspora are coming in and being very divisive. So they're like, the delineation is like, hey, we're separating ourselves because we've had on-code behavior for most of everybody in the world. And now all of a sudden, when we're helping everybody turn their back, or they get in these seats of power and they don't want to utilize their power to give resources for the black people. Because like Milah said, we're all black.
Right.
But the tribalism is off code behavior. And that's what causing a lot of the division, because everybody wants to be recognized in their enclave as being the one that's going to cure or triumph what's going on in the world with racism, right? So when you have this superiorism inside each different groups of people, you can't come together as a whole, because everybody wants to be seen as that great enclave that has reached the ultimate goal of going to the next level of achieving what we all want to achieve. It comes in, it's like the what you call Voltron, right? You got Voltron is 5-6 different pieces, and now they all come together and make this one powerful statue, and then they're fighting, right? That's the powerfulness. Same thing, what they use the same concept with Captain Planet. You know what I'm saying? You got your 5 parts of the planet come together, and this super Captain Planet comes in. So it's the same thing. You can come from whether you're the diaspora, you could be an Israelite, you could be a Pan-Africanist, you could be an FBA. Once we are all on code and we come together, we'll start to see real changes and power behind it, because we understand now it's a unified force along with that mindset. That's what they had to build Black Wall Street, and that's why we're struggling right now to build Black Wall Street. And I'll land my plane on that.
Yes, sir. All facts. Bobby?
The issue with Pan-Africanism really has been, and this is really, if you look over the years, you'll see that this has been the case. But really, what has really launched the necessity for delineation for FBAs has been the fact that upon deeper analysis and deeper digging, when you look at Pan-Africanism, what it is, what it's supposed to be about, what its goals and objectives are, you really see and understand that we're not talking about 1 or 2 offshoots or individuals, but when you look collectively at the practice over the years, we found that Pan-Africanism has largely been a one-way street.
Correct.
You've seen FBAs or Black people in America constantly reaching out to the diaspora, embracing Africanism history and roots. We've seen the launch of Africana studies here in the United States of America. You've seen all sorts of great Black scholars really delving into African studies and really getting a deeper sense of Africa and the countries and diaspora, what's happened, what's going on abroad. We've even seen advocacy, especially in the 60s, by Black people for the brothers and sisters over there in the continent, so much so that they even had a huge impact in the ending of apartheid in South Africa. So not just walk around with some signs and banners, but really making something shake, really making a global difference and actually helping to change the landscape of the African continent and their politics and their policies from this continent, from this place, which is great. That's wonderful. The problem is when you flip the looking glass and see, okay, well, that's great. That's awesome what FBA have done over there. What's the rest of the diaspora been doing for the Black folk over here?
It's true.
and all you hear is crickets. All you hear is cicadas. You see cobwebs. You see a whole bunch of rust patches that need some WD-40. You see windows that ain't been lifted up in quite some time. You see dust bunnies just doing cartwheels and certain Soleil acrobats. It has largely been a one-way street. The greatest non-FBA Pan-Africanist, hands down, would have had to been the Honorable Marcus Garvey. Tip my hat to him.
Mm-hmm. I know.
And he did make things shake. He did do all that.
Mm-hmm.
And the brother came from Jamaica.
Right.
When he left Jamaica, there was no Pan-Africanism going on over there. There was no seeking to go ahead and reach out and to really link up and join forces and really bolster this effort between the two nations. And when he was finally deported and kicked out and ousted from the U.S., shout out to Brother Garvey. He was still about that raw. He was still about that action. He tried to keep the energy and momentum going, but nobody in Jamaica was taking it.
Yeah.
He was literally the sole representative for Pan-Africanism in Jamaica, and it died there with him.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, the closest I would say we probably had to Pan-Africanism really being reciprocated on a global scale would probably be in Cuba, and that's when Fidel Castro, he went ahead and opened his borders and said, hey, if Black people want to come here and they want to receive medical training, come on over, free tuition, we'll take care of you, you're free to learn, you don't owe us a dime. The only payment we want you to give to us is to go home and to enrich your countries, to use the skills that you learn here to make your own nations better.
Mm-hmm.
That's the closest I've heard about that. Supposedly now they're offering what they call right of return to places like Ghana and such. But as far as we can tell, we've had brothers and sisters who looked into that and tried to dig deeper into that. But so far, it just sounds like a visa that's being offered. You're able to go over there, but you're basically allowed to have an extended Airbnb stay over there. You're able to be there, but you're not a permanent resident. You don't have any of the rights that the actual citizens there have. You don't have land. And for the most part, if you open up a business over there, that allows you to fast track the process. But when those people come over here, no one puts those stipulations on them. No one says you have to go and start a business over here. You have to go and contribute in that manner. You can literally just come here, in some cases, receive benefits that FBA born and raised citizens here don't even have.
It's true. Yeah.
So again, this has been a one-sided deal. And for the record, I'm not an FBA saying this. I'm a naturalized citizen saying this. So this isn't the case. I know some people try and say, well, that's just FBA hatred. No. I don't have that tie here.
Mm-hmm.
But I grew up in the culture. I've seen the culture, and I've been able to understand it for what it is. And I call a spade a spade. I don't care who has it. So we need to look at this. If Pan-Africanism is going to be salvaged at this point, from where I'm standing, I would not be able to be here in this country. I would not be a citizen here if it wasn't for the work and efforts that FBA have put in. It's the reality of it. FBA have done enough for Pan-Africanism where it stands. At this point, Pan-Africanism needs to become a practice that is adopted by non-FBA. They've already carried the load. This is as far as I'm concerned, this is a relay race. FBA have already been able to bring their baton to the finish line. Those of us who are not FBA, it's time that we actually got to work and started dragging and holding up our fair share of the bargain. That's just the way it is. Fair is fair.
I was actually going to close with that point. I'm kind of mad at Bobby, but he always does that to me. He picks up my points and he runs with them. But he said that shit so eloquently. It's real. And again, I have a whole side of my family that is from Africa, and I actually tried to, because my dad used to own a club, right? And there were people he used to get his stuff from. They were all here, and I'm like, why are we getting stuff for the club from here? Why don't we get it from the continent? You know what I'm saying? And I tried to open up dialogue with some of the people over there. I got cousins over there, whatever the case may be. I've been on the phone. I spent countless hours on the phone, and the will just isn't there, if I'm just being totally honest. So what I've seen is I've seen a really, really strong Pan-Africanist spirit in not all, obviously, but quite a few, a generous portion of FBA people, more so back in the days than now, because a lot of them that used to be Pan-Africanists, they kind of just tired out because, again, like Bobby said, they didn't feel the reciprocal vibe from people abroad. Like, okay, yeah, we're with you. We want to open up trade with you. We want you to come here. We want you to have the right to abode, like Israel does with the Jews. You understand what I'm saying? We don't have any such thing, as far as Africans on the continent. I'm telling you right now, I even looked into the Ghana thing. You got to go there with a bag. You got to have some paper, and you got to show that you're going to be able to significantly contribute to the Ghanaian economy for them to accept you, and just even on a personal level, being a kid who, my father's from Africa, and I would go some places, and I've had people literally stop talking to me because I didn't speak Kikuyu. You understand what I'm saying? So this is what I was saying at the end of what I was saying about attitudes need to change, because it can't be one-sided that way. I'm for the concept, but both parties need to be willing to give. Because I know for a fact, when these brothers and sisters come over here, even as a kid, I saw FBAs welcome them with open arms. They looked up to them. Oh, you from Africa? You must have got the real knowledge. You know what I'm saying? Like it's an assumption. You're from Africa, so you must know more than me. That's what it used to be anyway. And things have changed quite a bit, and I don't like where the conversation is going. And so that's why I bring it up, because I feel that we need those allies. You understand what I'm saying? And these two brothers here, Bobby and Anthony, are perfect examples of the type of non-FBA people that we need in the struggle. Because they down. You know what I'm saying? You listen to them talking, and they're like, yo, they're like, hey, people from the diaspora need to contribute more. And that's just a fact. And we got to call it straight down the middle.
I just want to say this real quick. We got to understand, when we hear Pan-Africanists, we also hear a lot of people from Africa that are Pan-Africanists. And one thing that, and I'm not trying to put any black cloud on that Pan-Africanism, but a lot of a lot of Africans, they say that. And like Amon just said in the comments, that a lot of people say it because it's a trend. But you have people over there from the diaspora that are causing harm to FBA women that are moving over there. And part of that mentality is, like I said, that's off-code behavior. So regardless of your FBA or Pan-African, it doesn't do you any good to represent either side if you're running with the off-code behavior. The same way our sisters are supposed to be protected over there is the same way the diaspora, people from the sisters from the diaspora come over here and be protected over here. So that's where I say on-code behavior is such a vital part of it. And people from the diaspora, y'all can't just come over here and get the resources over here and then y'all leaving y'all country behind, but representing your country. Like me and my brother, we have made a truce to go to Jamaica to help the health system. What are you doing? You're getting the resources over here. You're living better than you would live in your own country. What are you doing to go back to build your country? See, that's part of the on-code behavior. That's part of also the Pan-Africanism mindset as well, because Pan-Africanism is nation building. That's nation building, going back and building the nation of your people. So I just wanted to add that in and land on that.
Extraordinary exchange.
That's why I love y'all. That's why I love y'all. Let's put it all in the mix, but that's real. What do we have in common?
And not even to mention, the countless horror stories that I've heard from people that I know personally when they go to Africa and they get scammed and or robbed because they're Americans. That's a whole other show. You understand what I'm saying? But I'm here to tell you it's real. So if we're going to have Pan-Africanism, everybody needs to contribute. And side note, a sister mentioned in the comments, well, why do Africans come here? Not just Africans, but people from anywhere abroad from the U.S. Why do they come here if they don't like FBA? And the simple answer is for the benefits. You know what I'm saying? And they don't realize that FBAs are the ones who fought for them to be able to come here for those benefits. You understand? And it's really like a slap in the face. It's got to stop. And I hope that we all find healing. We all find healing and we bridge that gap, because we will be so powerful together. But, you know, even in Africa, you know, in my father's home country of Kenya, they got a couple hundred tribes over there, and they don't even get along amongst themselves. So
Jamaica,
it's a whole other conversation.
Jamaica, Haiti, the diaspora, the Caribbeans.
Yeah,
it's a mentality that's inbred, because, like I say, I've talked about that, how Jamaicans, and I know Haitians families say it. They say when you get to America, stay away from the black people. Those niggas, they're lazy. Yes. So it's not just Africans that say it; it's people from the diaspora. It's a condition, and you have to change it. You have to be the person, the black sheep. You have to be the black sheep in your family to change the mindset, because all of that is false propaganda to cause division instead of unity.
Yeah,
you know, we've got to be, not to take too much more time on this, but that right there is a major thing I was going to bring up. We have to understand, again, if we're going to be serious about this idea of Pan-Africanism on a global scale, we have to understand that, truth be told, the idea of black unity as we know it, that is really only a concept that thrives here in the Americas, even with all the issues we have with coons and Sambos and everything.
Yes.
This is the closest that we have globally to actual black unity. Because like you said, everywhere else there's tribalism.
Yeah.
You have countries, you have literally a whole continent just about that is overwhelmingly black, not a country, but the largest continent in the world that is primarily black. And them Negroes can't get along. Right next door neighbors. And so when we come along from a completely different side of the ocean, talk about unity, it only stands to reason why they would look at us like we have 3 heads and 9 arms.
It's wow.
So what we're talking about is literally undoing and reworking millennia of dysfunction and discontent and disharmony across there to merge with us over here. So that's going to be a long road to hoe. And this is why, I mean, I'm all for black unity. But honestly, I'm not really about that as much as possible. I'm all about getting that small few together. Because if we're never going to have, I don't care how much of an optimist you are, we are never going to have a majority. Never. There's almost never been a majority of anything in history. Anytime change has been made that has affected the world, it has always been a small, concentrated group of dedicated people. I don't care right now. You give me 10 brothers and sisters right now that are solid, thorough, and about that action. I will take them to war with 100 disorganized, sloppy people. And I know it's gonna be a landslide. I was talking to some folks the other day, and we said, you know what? You don't need to have a whole army to take out a nation. You can get 30 or 40 people that know what they're doing. And those 30, 40 people, if they're in sync, if they're communicating, if they're of the same mind, they could take down and destabilize a whole major city.
All facts.
Because they're on point, because they're together. We don't need the majority to change. We just need that small, concentrated few. We just need that fist.
Agreed.
All we need is the fist.
Let's get it. All right.
I gotta move on now. You gotta move on. I just wanted to plug in even Anubis Gun Club, just by them alone. Look at the motion and movement have they provided them. They're not a huge group of people. So, and they've been doing wonderful things over there for the community and helping the community.
Literally just about that.
Shout out to Anubis Gun Club in the building one time.
I appreciate that, brother.
Go
I
ahead.
appreciate that. And, you know, that's so not to cut you all off, but that's what I was going to talk about too. That's one of the principles that we move on. We don't try to have, you know, how some organizations will just try to take anybody in, homosexuals, everything. It's just, I just want numbers. I just want people.
Yeah.
No. There's a vetting process. I need to know you about it. And everything that you all have said has really been, it's been good for me, you know, because I always like to hear how my family thinks, what our experiences are, and how my husband is Haitian. So, you know, I get exactly where you're coming from, but that's what we've always focused on, are the quality over the quantity. We want those people who are going to come in there. My husband says all the time, I don't care if you got an army of 1,000. If it's 10 of us, we can take you. If it's 10 of us in 7 states, them 70 can take your nation. Because we're going to be disciplined, we're going to be about it. And it's true that too many who are Pan-African are not really about it. That's what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't matter if you're Pan-African, if you're Christian, it doesn't matter. If you're not serious, you're not serious. You got to be serious about it. And at the end of the day, it's really got to be about commonality, or like Brother Anthony says, being on code. And part of that code is understanding we're Black. That is your commonality.
Yes.
At the end of the day, all that other stuff, it doesn't matter. You're Black. What are you going to do to love, to protect, to build with each other? Because we're all supposed to be building. The mission is a Bibi Kahodia, which is Black liberation, not Christian, not Pan-African, not this. It's Black liberation. That's what it's about. So,
period.
All facts. Let me give you this one, because I know you can't stay, you know, like we, you know, normal. So I'm gonna give you this one. At least this one, you know, and I want to hear what you think about this, sister. This is something that really bothered me quite a bit. I'm gonna show the video, then I'm gonna follow up with a question. All right.
Raise your hand if you're married. None of you are married. Raise your hand if you would like to be married to your baby's father. 1. The rest of you who don't plan to get married, why don't you plan to get married? I'd like to know that.
You already have your child to think about, and then a whole family to care for. You know, it's a lot of responsibility, and then you don't want the commitments.
I wouldn't want no man holding me down, because I think I can make it as a single parent.
But don't you think you might need help in raising that baby from a man?
Not really. I didn't have a father. My father wasn't in the home, so, you know, it really, male figures are not substantially important in the family.
Yeah. Okay. So as hard as that may have been to watch, I have the follow-up question, because I think that this is an important one, and I need your perspective on this, sister. What do you think of the "I don't need no man" mentality and the rise of baby mama culture? Now, real quick, before I hand the mic over to you, I want to make a clarification, because people like to hear shit that you don't say. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm going to go ahead and put it out there. I'm not dissing baby mamas. I'm not dissing Black women. I'm asking a specific and pointed question for a purpose, because you can be a baby mama, doesn't mean you're a bad person. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not knocking people who are baby mamas or trying to attack them. But what I am saying is that we clearly have an issue with creating the Black family, and the doing so with the type of consistency. And we have not baby mamas here and there as a one-off as it used to be back in the day. We have a baby mama anti-family, to some extent, Black culture. You heard what the women in the video said. This was in 1986, by the way. You understand what I'm saying? A man is not substantial in the home. How many of you want to be married? Everybody looking around. You understand? One person raised their hand. Oh, I didn't have a father. A male presence is not substantial in the home. This is in 1986. And in the music and in the movies and whatever the case may be, anything by Tyler Perry, for crying out loud, we keep reinforcing this narrative to the point where we're at a space where it used to be rare to see a baby mama. Now it's rare to see a married couple raising a child together. And that is the problem. That is the issue that I'm speaking to. And I would like for you to dispel your exquisite and divine expertise. Our sister, what you got?
You know, I've watched that video several times before. We've discussed it in several women's groups that I'm in. Some teen girls that I mentor. We've watched that video and kind of talked about it, and I've listened to many of their perspectives on why those girls thought that way. And it's heartbreaking. It's really hard to listen to. But the central question, the main question is, how did those baby mamas become baby mamas if men are not essential? They didn't just snap their fingers and say, hey, I want a baby. You had to think something of that man in order to get that baby.
Come on now.
But here's the thing. A lot of those girls in that video, however old they were, thinking they were maybe, teens and early 20s, these are now grandmothers. Unfortunately, that young, these are now grandmothers. And so what do? You get a constant cycle of that mindset, not the color, none of that. You get that mindset perpetually raising more and more women to think the same way. You have more homosexuality now with men because why? You're insignificant. You don't matter. But the women do. So let me put on a skirt and be like her.
It is.
You see what I'm saying? Like it's a constant cycle of a mindset, and in this so-called uncultured culture that we're in, it's acceptable. Just get the bag. Forget the baby. Yeah, you got the baby, but get the baby to get the bag. Even if the bag is a perpetual, constant cycle of welfare within a family. I'm getting money. I saw this video, not to even get too much. I saw a video the other day. I really wanted to scream. There was a lady who was saying, I forget how many children she said she'd had, but she got like $3,000 in food stamps or something. And she was bragging on that. Like it was a flex. Like I got 7 children. I got food stamps and I'm going to keep getting them. And I'm trying to have another one right now. That girl who said that was probably a product from one of the girls whose mindsets said that in that video right there. And it's just continual. And it's very, very unfortunate. But again, when you're in a culture that is misandrous, that looks at Black men as being nothing but sex objects and bucks and tools and utility, only what I can use him for, I'm just going to get what I can get from him because I'll be more accepted by this uncultured white culture if I just have the baby. I'll get more benefits from people around me. I'll get more sympathy. I'll be more accepted if I just get the baby and dispel the Black man. Why? Because this culture hates Black men, so I gotta hate him too.
Right.
And ultimately, I hate myself. I don't feel like I'm really worthy of anything. So I'm just gonna have a baby and do the same thing to this baby that was done to me. But we're gonna get a bag. We're gonna get some food stamps. We're gonna get some housing. We're gonna get all of this. We balling. I'm just saying, I've heard these discussions with women
all the time.
In the teen group that the girls that I mentor, that we're supposed to say G.a.u.g.e for, because mentor is very European, and there's some pedo stuff that goes along with that, but that's a whole other conversation, right?
Okay. I hear you.
A lot of them were telling me that they didn't want to get married because they've watched their mothers. My mama just played me. My mama just get with this man because this one pay her bills. This one fix her car. This one comes to the house. And what am I gonna get a husband for? All men do is do stuff. You just give him a little bit of this and that and send him on his way. I can't make it up. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
And it's like the men are literally nothing. But when you have a culture of women who think they're nothing, what else do we expect?
Yeah.
She doesn't feel like she's worth anything. All I can do is reproduce. I can use him to reproduce. At the end of the day, forget the baby. I'm gonna get the bag. And again, even if that bag is detrimental, if it's welfare, it's keeping me in a perpetual cycle of nothingness. It's okay. I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna die. We all gonna die of something. The baby gonna die. That, you know what I'm saying? Like we just have to. We don't love ourselves, and that's what that is. That mindset, and it's continuing.
Yeah, the toxins are particularly deadly. You know, the toxins are wow. They were just speaking death that whole time they were talking, and they were laughing about it. It's troubling. It's troubling.
And that lets you know that somebody told them. They heard that. They didn't just make it up. They heard their mothers, their grandmothers. These are conversations. Girl, your granddaddy ain't nothing. I know your granddaddy got a family next door, but that's okay because he bring me that check.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's all he good for. Oh, the sink broke. Well, he gonna fix that. He can go fix hers too, long as he fix mine. And I got the bag.
And then
You gotta
you'll
learn
have
to love yourself so you can love your men.
right. And then you'll have birds tell you that when a woman like Lisa Ray comes out and talks about men in a strictly materialistic capacity, oh, a man got to pay all my bills. All he could do for me is this. They'll tell you that's okay, and it's just her preference. Some of the most idiotic bullshit I've ever heard. I'm talking about
But a man can't say that.
A man can't say that. I'm talking about somebody in particular right now. Yeah, it's outrageous. Anthony Malcolm, step up to the plate, gang.
Yeah, that is so deep, you know, and we don't have that time to get into the deep, but the only reason I'm saying it's deep is because that's psychologicalness, right? And also the psyche of it and the propaganda, mix the two together, and that's why we're in the position, the detrimental position that we're in now. Because when you look at those ages, like Milah said, they're around their teens to 20. Let's even just give them the notion of being 20. 20 subtracted from 86, gonna give you 66. 66, what happened? That was when they started to get the men out of the household, right? So we're going into the 70s when they started to get the men out of the household and start giving them the check. Then you start seeing that as a child growing up. And then you have the Black exploitated movies. Remember, a lot of those Black exploitated movies in the 70s was pimps, prostitutes, hoes, and all that. So now you have the women that's on stage, that's on screen saying, oh, you niggas ain't shit. And it's always shows with single mothers and things like that. And shout out to Esther Roll, because she knew during that time that was the propaganda that they were trying to portray. And she was like, hell no, you better put a father on here. And that's how we got the iconic James on the show, James Evans on the show. So it was a lot of people battling to try to get to keep the image and not be part of the propaganda that was influencing these young ladies to think like that. And now even to this day, where you have a lot of women that's going out there to be educated, they're getting the bag from the job because, again, propaganda and the systemic racism has now said, you know what, Black men, we're ousting you out of these corporate jobs. Let's put either the gay Black man in there or let's put the Black woman in there. Now, that's not to discredit that they're not capable of getting the job or qualified for getting the job, but it's now the propaganda is that if we make the Black woman more accessible to be the financial head hole of the house, now it creates an imbalance. And now that also in the mind says, why do I need you when I'm over here sustaining everything for myself? And, you know, shout out to a lot of the podcasts, because there's some women out there that are saying like, hey, a man isn't to be judged based on finances, because you can have the finances and still lose in this world without having a man by your side. He brings more than just finances. And a lot of women back in the 70s or even our grandparents' time have noticed that and understood that and appreciate that, because remember, they couldn't be out in the workforce. So they had to concentrate basically on family. And the man, he found somebody he loved and created a whole family with. And guess what he was doing? He was coming home and giving her the whole paycheck, because he knew if she was the one who organized everything, she knew where the finances was, what the money needed to be used for. She was everything to that, and he trusted her. We don't have that type of trust and that type of partnership like the elders did back in the day. See, when all these women talk about, oh, I want a man that's like my father, but when your father was doing stuff like that, you didn't recognize that. So like Milah was saying, a lot of times, a lot of these women, they want their cake and eat it too. I don't need you as a man when I got simps out here to give me resources and do whatever I want them to do. I got my money. Now let me focus on the child. I can't get it through in vitro. Let me go and get it. I might have a hidden agenda, which some women do. Let me go get it from this guy, whether he have a bag or not, and get the child. And now the love that I can give is into this child, and I don't need nobody else, including the man elsewhere either. So now you notice a lot of women, they don't ask when they get pregnant. If you notice, sometimes at the baby shower, it's always the women that wants a boy. They don't really want the girl. You notice that?
The son husband.
They want the boy to go ahead and now be their quote unquote protector or the financial investment for them when they grow up. So they're the ones, remember, the boys always say, I want to buy my mama a house. I want to do this for my mama. So now they become the working soldier for that woman. So she doesn't have to invest in no other man, because if she invests in her son and pour into her son is going to take care of her in the long run. And it's like I say, it's a psychological fucked upness that we go through. It's way deeper, and it could go real deep, but I don't want to get into that. We don't have time, but I'll let explain on that.
Nice. Bobby, take us out. What's up? What you got?
You know, they say that due to a lot of biases, that there's a lot of women who go undiagnosed with autism. Typically, it's for the longest time, it was believed that only males could get autism. And in the recent years, as much as science and technology has advanced, they're only just now starting to really come to grips with that. There might have actually been a lot more women going undiagnosed than we thought. I think that the same is true of schizophrenia. I think that there's a lot of undiagnosed schizophrenic women out here. And I say that because there are just so many different conflicting ideas and concepts that float around in a lot of women's heads. And it's like you're literally navigating the world believing this, but also believing that. And if anybody with half of a working brain cell would have put these two together, you can see these don't fit. How can you think this, but you think that? It makes no sense. And I say that because when it comes to this topic, you have two amazing ideas that are at war with each other. I actually, funny enough, I saw a post earlier today in a group that I'm in where it was someone that shared a post of a couple. You see this woman, she's pregnant, belly big as hell, and she's on her couch, I guess, watching TV. And the father is there lying next to her. You know, he's got the belly cuddled, and, you know, he's just lying, taking a nap right on top. It's a beautiful picture, very heartwarming, touching. And the post said, you know, pregnancy with the child's father around, it hits different. It's nothing like him, you know, rubbing your belly, you know, catering to you, taking time from work if necessary to help with you in your pregnancy, going to the exams. You know, it's a beautiful thing to have. Very true. And the person who shared the post asked, well, when are we going to get back to this? What happened? What's going on with this? And as you can imagine, there's a whole bunch of comments, whatever. And there's, of course, you know, some sensible comments. There's a lot of misguided and just real head-scratching comments like, you really wrote that out? You really thought to type that? Then you type that. At no point did it ever occur to you, let me not hit send on this. Let me just keep this locked away as an intrusive thought or that draft that just never got sent. You really thought this was okay to send. Then on top of that, you never thought to delete it. At no point did the check and balances actually check and balance. And then there was a woman in particular, there was a couple of them, but there's this one woman that posted a couple of gems, and I'm just shaking my head at her like, are you serious? And mind you, this is not some necessarily lowbrow, dusty, bummy broad. This is a chick who's in her 40s, college educated.
Wow.
Let's go to that miseducated, most educated trope that's out there. College educated. I'm not going to say where she works. That might be a little bit too much. But here she goes talking about, you know, when they talk about, a brother talked about, you know, it's crazy how baby mamas and baby daddies are the norm. It's like husbands and wives don't exist anymore. This is crazy. She going to make a stupid comment saying people only married in those days because they had to. society doesn't look down on out of wedlock couples and people not going to stop smashing and making babies. And then she said elsewhere that you know, it would be nice if men stopped sleeping with women they don't see a future with. That has never happened in history, so it dang sure won't happen now. And I have to just stare for a minute.
Wow.
and forget that I live in this universe and not the one that I'm always daydreaming about.
Yeah.
When I mentally check out, I'm in my summer house where everything makes sense. You know, I'm around people that actually have a brain in the head.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, you can't say that there's never been a time it would be nice if men stopped sleeping with women they don't see a future with. You can't say that and think that, have that mindset on this hand. But on the other hand, you champion the sexual revolution.
Come on now.
And then say things like, well, you know, sex isn't just meant to pleasure men. Women like sex. Women enjoy sex just as much as men do. Or, you know, stop thinking that every time a woman has sex, it has to be with her husband. Women are free. Women can have maintenance men, this, that, and the third. You can't on one side talk about how men only sleep with women they don't see a future with and how they're the cause and the blame as to why we have this out of wedlock crisis, but then discount what women are doing out here, fighting for and championing the right to move the same way men move or the way that they perceive men to move. It can't add up. And that's possibly the biggest discrepancy in thinking that a lot of women have. This duality where women are both victims, but also empowered. So when things are going right, women are empowered. Yay, girl power, yay, yay. When things are going bad, oh, we're victims and things don't work. It can't be that way.
Facts.
You have to pick a struggle.
Yeah.
And it can't be based on whatever makes you look good and makes them look bad. It cannot be that way.
It don't work like that.
One of the biggest reasons we can't actually solve this issue is because we have at least one group, and men have their own delusions. I can let us off the hook.
Yes, they do.
But this is huge delusion that women have where it's the men's fault and they're innocent while they're out here with the ski mask on, breaking and entering the goddamn building.
Yes. It's wild, gang. It's wild.
How can we even have proper conversations with solutions when we cannot acknowledge that there is equal culpability?
Yeah.
It affects our children. The last thing I'll say is when you all were talking, instantly my mind jumped to that cartoon that someone drew a while ago where you have the father walking out the door and you have the mother saying, I don't need a man. Then you have her oldest child, the daughter, saying, I don't want a man. Then you have the young son with the little pacifier saying, I don't want to be a man.
Facts. Instantly that came to mind. Instantly.
Yeah.
These are not victimless crimes. These mindsets, this broken mentality, these are not innocent, harmless things. They cause huge damage. It might look like a small pebble getting tossed in the lake, but it's making some big old tsunami waves. And we're feeling the effects of them right now.
And everybody thinks it just came out of nowhere. So a very, very valid point. Sister, I know that you spoke on time. I have another extraordinary question. I don't know if you have time for it, but man, it's a doozy. So I don't know. I'm good? Okay.
You're good. You're good.
Okay. I'm going to go into this one because I want to talk about dating and the imagery surrounding a lot of our sisters. All right. So I want to start off with this.
Used to fuck mad niggas when I was little. That's why dick don't really do shit for me now. Like your dick don't really do shit.
That's one. I got three of them. Okay, so that's one. Faith Evans giving us some history. Then we have our good friend, and I'm playing these like this for a reason because it kind of coincides with the question. You have this other sister here. Keeping it classy. Hold on. Make this out. Okay. But the sister Stallion, and I want to go ahead and finish it off with this because this was just extraordinary. I really want you to see this, sister.
Yeah,
I had been with this guy for 5 years, so I wasn't really having sex with a lot of people. And so for one summer, I said, I'm gonna do whatever I feel in the moment that I feel it. There was this time where I was at this bar having this meeting with this girl, and this bartender was just giving me the eyes and just kept giving me these blueberry mojitos or something. And the bar was kind of empty. So I was like, I'm gonna go use the bathroom. And I'm like, there's no toilet paper in the bathroom. There was. So I was like, there's no toilet paper in the bathroom. And so he's like, oh, okay, I got you. And so
This is a good story, y'all.
And so he come to get me the toilet paper, and we end up in the freezer. In the freezer.
I
got
married
super
young, and so it's like it's kind of hard to hoe at 40. You know what I mean? Like it's a little harder to hoe.
I know a lot of hoes at 40.
No.
But I want to hear about your hoe phase.
I'm in the middle of it.
So this is where we are, right? So this is the question of the day. You understand what I'm saying? This is the question of the day right here. A lot of Black female artists, namely, but not restricted to hip-hop artists and personalities more broadly, seem to obviously have lost respect for themselves, being that they are so influential and they have these great platforms. A, why do you feel that is? And B, why aren't more sisters speaking out against it? Milah, the look on your face.
Listen,
come on. You know I'm gonna come with the questions, Milah. This is why I want to interview you. I'm gonna come with the questions.
I know, and I respect it. You know,
and you know the thing is, if I do it without the examples, people go, it ain't that bad. It ain't that. No, we literally have 3 examples. Faith Evans shows up and she's just talking about how she used to fuck mad niggas and da. They had to talk over her to shut her up to keep her from embarrassing herself with her stupid ass. You understand what I'm saying? The guys were talking over her to keep her from really putting herself out there.
But Major,
dick don't do shit for me now because I used to fuck so many niggas. That was the first one.
But Major, I thought Black men don't protect Black women. What are you talking about?
Hey, come on now. Come on.
Not Black hoes. I'm sorry. Let me just focus. Listen.
Hold up.
Listen.
That's the first one. Hold up. That's the first one. Then Meg Thee Stallion, about every 6 months, you can set your watch by the shit. She's just going to do something ratchet and ridiculous for absolutely no reason. Meg Thee Stallion Meg Thee Stallion can actually rap. You understand? She can spit.
Very talented.
She's very talented. She can spit. And like, I get so upset every time I see her, and she's an attractive young woman. Why are you playing yourself like that? And why do I have to say it to you? You understand what I'm saying? Why don't you know that you're playing yourself? And then the third one, that was just Coon Fest 2025. You got a panel of Black women sitting up there talking about, 1, it's necessary to have a hoe phase, and 2, making jokes and cracking about, the different phases of their hoe phase and, giving specific stories, telling their sexcapades to the world. In front of the world. When you do something on the internet, you're telling it to the entire world. And this is okay. I need to understand. Again, sister, I know I'm tripping a little bit, but I need to understand from you because I know that you got this insight. Why do you feel that is, and why aren't more sisters speaking out against it? Back in the day, they'd be in the streets boycotting with signs and shit. They boycotted Nelly.
Yeah, they sure did.
What's up with this shit? Who are these women?
You know what? This
what you said?
The sad reality, y'all, is well, first and foremost, let me just go back even before that.
Okay.
This so-called desegregation, that was a trick. That was
okay.
So when you look at the fact that Black women are in this, again, cultureless culture, trying to imitate the stuff that these cave beasts are doing in their dysfunction. They do that, sleep with dogs, all that kind of stuff, right? Let's just keep it real. They do all of that. They do, and so then you get Black women who, well, because we want to be like them, we want to go to their schools, we want to wear their hair. I'm sorry, sisters. No, I'm not. I mean what I'm saying. We want to do all those things. We want to do all this. So they sleep with their brothers, cousins, uncles. It's all dysfunctional animals, dogs, cats, rats, sheep. Let's do it too. Let's just do it our way. When you don't have any respect for yourself and you have older women who don't have respect, guess what? You constantly are telling those young women it's okay. There's a woman online right now. I want to say her name so bad, but I don't want to give her no steam. There is a woman right now who was married to a brother who was, y'all probably know about him. He was doing really good on his own. He was a rapper. He was promoting Real Father Gang. He was just doing well. He married this thought off the street who got into his DMs, right? First she exposed him talking about, I'm getting to the point. She exposed him saying that, she lied on him and said that he was domestically abusing her. The man literally did a video call of her lying to the police. He was recording. He saw the whole thing. She's lying to him. He's got a gun. He's following me. Now this hoe, hoe, who is now a mammy, not a mother, who is now a mammy to 6 children, gets online telling other women, these older hoes who are in her comments, who are perpetuating what she is doing and cheering her on instead of correcting her. She's saying, well, I had to leave that man, my husband, the only man that would marry you, thought this man who married her. She's saying, I had to leave him because all of the things I'm doing right now, which is what? Shaking your ass, showing your crotch print in short, is so nasty. It looks like roast beef in a diaper. I'm sorry. No, I'm not. So you're saying that if I had to stay married to this man, I couldn't do all the things that I'm doing now, which is overexposing yourself, which is showing your daughters that their mother was really a hoe, which is saying that now I had a husband, now I got to go through my hoe phase because I had y'all when I was teenagers. Daughters, my 3 daughters now, y'all, mama got to go through a hoe phase in her 30s now that I have 6 children and I lost my husband. It's constant. And again, in that woman's comment section, every time, if I blocked her, but if I do get something or if I see it or whatever, because I have 2 pages, it's the older women. Girl, do your thing. Girl, you're beautiful. Now she cockeyed, one of her eyes go everywhere. And I said today, I told another girl, I'm sorry, but I said, you know what? I think that wandering eye is a reflection of the arrested development in her mind. I think her eye is loose because her brain is loose. No self-accountability whatsoever. Those women saying, and I get so sick of hearing that, y'all. I'm just saying that whole phase. I have daughters. I don't ever want my daughters to come to me and say, Mama, I need a whole phase. So you mean to tell me anything that I've sacrificed or I've shown you, you feel like because society, because this cultureless culture is telling you, and Meg Thee Stallion and everybody else is telling you, you need to go sleep with several men. None of that means anything. So what this old bag, this older, not elder, is showing you means more than to what it's telling you. It means more than what I'm showing you in my everyday walk.
Right.
See, the problem is I want to fit in with everybody. And again, you got Black women wanting to be brown, white women. They don't mind being Black women because we're supposed to be the thing, right? But the mentality, again, going back to that mentality, you want to be a hoe because it's accepted in this cultureless culture. I want to be a hoe. My goal is to be a hoe. Y'all,
Black women that want to be brown, white women. I think that's going to be the quote of the century right there. I'm going to put that on the reel. Okay. Damn, Milah. Okay. Yeah. The catering service is open. My God.
Y'all, listen. Y'all, I know y'all see it. I know y'all see it, especially y'all in Florida. I know y'all see it so much. It's like, Y'all get so sick of him. And I'm telling you again, because I mentor young girls. I hear that. I even hear them talking about it. I hear them having little side conversations. Girl, yeah, I slept with so and so, and I slept with his friend. Wait, what?
Yeah.
Okay, bring her in. She need to come to this group. And I've made a great impact on a lot of them. But some of these girls, y'all, when I tell you, they go home to mamas who are straight up hoes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't have no other way to say that. They want their daughters to be hoes because, again, go have a baby, bring a check. Go have a baby, milk that because he ain't nothing but that. It's just constant. It like Anthony said, it's so deep.
It's despicable. It is. And
I want to fight right now. Like I'm really trying. I really want to just go, babe. I need a punch. I really want to go slap a hoe, and I mean that. I mean exactly what I said. I can't. I'm okay. I don't want to be triggered. But I'm triggered. I'm triggered. I am, because I'm so sick of it, and y'all just don't know how much I hear that, how much I see it, and women my age in their late 40s acting like, oh,
let me tell you, and I hear you. I'm feeling you, because what's so crazy to me as a man, if we say anything about it, we hate women.
Oh, I hate women. You ain't heard? I hate women. I hate women. I'm an evil bully. Before I was married, I was a pick me. I was I've been all of that, child. Let me tell you. No, I love you. The problem is you don't love you. But me loving you offends you. Now I got some sisters that, they be like, you know what, thank you. Some of them cuss me out, but they'll come back. I don't mind, you can cuss, you ain't offending me, because guess what? Truth don't change just because I hurt your feelings.
Right. All facts.
It's still the truth, sis. I love you. And if I didn't love you, I'm not going to tell you the truth. I don't want my daughters listening to no damn thoughts. You know what I'm saying? I don't want that. I don't want them watching these podcasts and seeing Meg Thee Stallion again. She's very talented, but you're putting your ass before your talent.
Ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And I really appreciate your response on that. That was what I felt. That's what I've been wanting to hear women say for the last few years, and nobody's saying it. I can count them on one hand. You dig? So I appreciate you for that, sister. The catering service is open. Make sure y'all, you know what I'm saying? Ant, what you got, brother? What you got, Ant? Talk to me, man.
It's sad, and I'm glad that Mila brought up the point of women. It goes back to deflecting away from accountability. The first thing that women say when other women are holding women accountable is, you're a pick-me. You get what I'm saying? And they say it in a derogatory way, because they make it seem like to be a pick-me is a bad thing, right?
Yeah.
And it's just so bad, because a lot of people don't realize, like, your first line of defense is not going to be from men, and it's not going to be from your elders and your children. It's going to be from, more likely, your peers, your sisterhood. Your sisterhood, a lot of sisters travel in packs together. So they're going to be your first line of defense, and then comes the man later. But what I'm saying is, in the first line of defense, you want somebody to be real with you, because if they're telling you what to do, they're also protecting you when the man is not around. Like, a lot of homegirls protect their women, their homegirls, away from guys that might be in a vital situation, right? So it's like, if I was a woman, I'd rather have somebody around me telling me, look, correct my behavior, or telling me how to correct my behavior, because you're saving myself in the long run. Especially if I have a husband, if I have a friend that's around me and I'm conducting myself the right way, I end up going home safely to my husband. But if I'm around women that sit back and allow me to be in an off-code mentality and acting real fucked up, I'm putting myself in a predicament that my husband or the dude that I'm with is not going to be able to protect me. That is the mindset of what women should be thinking about. My homegirl is here, or even if it's not a homegirl, this woman is here to end up protecting me in the long run, because I am operating out of dysfunction. And I think a lot of times we get down to the church, and I remember people was talking about how the church, a lot of people are joining the church, and church is much needed. But one thing that the church has done to be the destructive part of the Black society is taking away accountability and then placing it as judgment. So now you run around here and people say you're judging me because the church has now opened up that Pandora's box to now label accountability as judgment. So now nobody wants to take accountability because when somebody's holding you accountable, you're thinking they're judging you. And that's straight bullshit. So, when I see this type of stuff, it's bad. Even my peoples, when they looking at my phone, they look at me and they thinking that it's part of my algorithm. This ain't part of my algorithm. All these motherfucking women that's doing it, whether they fucking judges or attorneys or even the little ratchet, everybody's jumping up in there, showing their pussy print, trying to get their followers up because they feel like that's the way to get their following up. Yep. Nobody's being morally, standing on moral grounds. Everybody's following everybody. So you got the ones that you consider good women following the hoes, and you got the hoes influencing quote unquote good women. So it's very important for women to find that solid fixture of other women around you and hold them accountable. We did that on the last show we had. We played where the woman said, I have friends that tell me when I'm out of pocket, when I'm discussing things about my husband, and they're telling me you better go home and fix it because you don't want to be out here in these streets. Ain't nothing out here in these streets. And that's real. So it's very important to have solid people around you to keep you in line. And I land my plane on that.
Okay. Bobby, what's happening?
Oh, I just really wish that Black women would understand the power that they actually have.
Yep.
Not the power that they want or the power that they think they have, but the power that they actually have. The number one export, not the 2, not the 3, not the 5, not the 10, the number one export of this country is media. That's the top export. It's not any manufactured goods and services. It's not any crops. It's not any livestock. None of that. The number one export of this country is media. That's the number one export. And the top type of media being exported is Black women. Black female content and Black female inspired content. Whether it's a Black woman doing it or it's non-Black people emulating what Black women in specific are doing. And when you look at what the prevailing sentiment of that content is, it's nothing positive.
Yeah.
It's the same nonsense that you were just playing, Major. It's the women being loose, talking about their slackness. It's women shaking ass and twerking and throwing cheeks up, left, right, center, inverted, and all this stuff.
Yeah.
It's women. It's Black women fighting and throwing hands at the Waffle House, in the club, outside the club, on the beach, in the pool, in church, wherever the case may be. That is what is being exported. So the whole globe is seeing this now, and this is shaping and informing the perception of Black people, Black women on a global area. So people who have never seen a Black person before, if they have the internet on a computer, on a phone, they have seen Black women, and what they have seen is not anything solid or empowering or positive. It's been something negative and in the trash. I saw there's a post that a friend of mine dropped. He does a lot of global traveling. He's an expat. He has some homes here, but he also has lived abroad. And he's sharing his experience about international dating is hard. He said he's mainly lived in Black countries or countries that are predominantly Black, and he said the majority of women in their 30s in Jamaica have rings. this is also true for Brazil.
Hmm.
He said one of the other things that's difficult is that there's an intercultural aspect. He says African people can date Caribbean people and vice versa, but it's hard for Americans to date either of them. And he said, I blame it because of our lack of culture and community. Now, he was speaking in general, but his sister commented and shared her experience too. And she said, I'm going to read what she said directly. She said, I also find dating in other countries difficult. I'm often mistaken for Pais or Latina and found most people lack genuine interest and connection the second they found out I was from the US. Suddenly, for genuine connection. But here's the part that I want you to not miss, because she didn't say this, and I don't know if this is what she interpreted as, but this is what she meant. She said, once they found out that she was from America, they lacked genuine interest in connection. But she heard them say suddenly was, I always wanted a wife from the US.
Hmm.
In other words, I've always wanted to be with an American Black woman.
Hmm.
They say wife, but they mean I want to be with you in that way. So I'm not interested in a genuine relationship. I want to see if the rumors are true.
Fetishize.
Hey, can you do what they're doing in this video right here? And she said, also, I'd meet other expat men, other expatriates, or in other words, for those who don't know, expatriates are pretty much people from a country who move and live abroad. So let's say you live in the United States and you decide you want to move to Brazil and live there, or you want to go to Germany and live there, whatever. They consider you an expat or an expatriate. So he said, also, I'd meet other expat men who were interested until finding out I'm not actually Colombian from wherever. One dude even said, I wish they had women like this back home, before realizing I'm from back home. So,
wow.
And you can't blame this on Black men, because you can say, oh, that's the Black men, but this others. Another sister chimed in and said, American culture is viewed as trash globally. And there's a lot of, and I'm noticing this comment thread was a little lengthy. Most of it was by sisters who were chiming in. And you all don't understand. You have become victims of your own success. You've been so adamant about putting out this negative content, and when solid brothers or solid sisters check you, it's your misogynist that, your pick me this, you have internalized misogynies, that, and all that kind of nonsense. You have been so adamant in fighting for your right to be ratchet, raunchy, and nasty. Congratulations, bravo, it's worked. Now the problem is you can't turn it off. You got exactly what you're looking for, and it's kicking y'all in the face.
Wow. Amazing. Bruh, I mean, this is where we are. This is where we are, and I respect you just putting it out there raw like that. We're almost out of time, so we want to definitely thank our good sister Milah Renee for coming and spending time with us tonight. We normally do what is called the crown check. We want to give her applause, because tonight Milah Renee is the crown check. Milah Renee is the crown check. Shout out to Sister Milah Renee. And in the spirit, of the crown check, you watch the show. The sisters in the audience watch the show. I would like to ask Milah Renee first, let me go ahead and let Bobby Anthony, do you have anything to say in closing? Because if not, I'll let Milah just take us on out of here.
Oh, no, you can let Milah take us on out of here.
Okay, perfect. I would like to ask Milah Renee, in the spirit of being Milah Renee and her Milah Renee-ness, you understand? Can you kindly share with us some of the people, namely if you have some sisters, that you read or listen to, that you consider thought leaders, that you would like to enlighten us on, some of their, because we're already telling people to follow you, but are there others that you'd like to enlighten us with, or some other brothers and sisters that are listening? Because,
absolutely.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Absolutely.
I'm just saying, if you're great like that, the greatness got to come from somewhere. So we want to spread the wealth. So go ahead, sister. What you got?
I appreciate y'all. That's Means a lot. Thank you. I'm just me. However, I will say that I do have some very powerful sisters in my life. I'm grateful for that. One in particular that I would like to highlight only because, and I want, not even only because, I want to highlight her because so often she's not recognized for the work that she does for our children and for our community. It's my sister, Crystal Denise. She was on here. I saw her earlier. The sister has opened Oasis Literacy Center where she focuses on making sure that literacy is a big part of the community in Mississippi. She's also started the Ashe Academy, which is an African-centered school that for me, something that I've contributed to is doing Saturday morning physical activity to open up the sessions. This is something that she's doing on her own dime, that she started on her own dime. She's offering it to parents on a donation basis in Coldwater, Mississippi and surrounding areas. And she's just doing some amazing things for the community, for the people. She's a librarian at a university, and she is Black first. She is like myself. She's focused on bringing those Black children in there, giving them a safe space to read, to speak, to communicate, and mentoring young women as well. So, and I have several other sisters, so I don't want anyone to feel like I didn't talk about you all. I'm just short on time, but definitely, Sister Crystal Denise, I respect you, I love you, and I salute you, sister.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
So y'all make sure y'all follow Sister Crystal Denise as well. And go ahead, Ann, you want to say something?
No, I just want to say, just offer, an olive branch to have her on a show. We definitely down on that. And, I say to our queen who transitioned, Cheryl, who we interviewed and had on our show about the school that she had. And we showed videos of the children and everything like that. Unfortunately, she had transitioned due to cancer, but she has made a legacy, doing what she did, opening up a school and giving children the opportunity to excel in a system that's designed to have these children fail through the school the pipeline. So definitely let us, just reach out to her. We would love for her to come on here so to give the information and inspire others. If come to what it comes down to, you can inspire others as well as people getting the information that might want to assist funding wise, or even bring their children to the school and get that additional learning.
Absolutely.
Yes. I will do that.
Well, hey, love, peace, and blackness. You know what I'm saying? Manifestation 2020, we in the building. Milah Renee, Bobby Drake, Major Gage. We live. Good night, folks.
See y'all.
Manifestations. Man up. Manifestations. Man up. Manifestations. Man up. Manifestations.
A place where we inform, build, and inspire.
Manifestations. Man up. Manifestations. Man up. Manifestations. Man up.
A place where we inform.
Manifestations.
A place where we inform, build, and inspire.
You gotta eat what you kill. You gotta go out there. You gotta hunt for your meals.
We all have that ability to connect with people, to be that motivational person in somebody's life.
You gotta let people know there's certain lines you don't cross, and that there's gonna be consequences if you do.
Man up.
If you are an adult and you are in a relationship, that person's emotions are not your responsibility.
Man up. Manifestations. Man up. Manifestations. Man up. Manifestations.
A place where we inform, build, and inspire.
The devil, during slavery, destroyed the masculinity or manhood of the so-called Negro. No man. No man. Right now you got to be trained all over again to be a man.
When someone is obligated to do something, it is binding upon them to do it. And failure to do it causes reaction.
Man up.
Position make you rich. I don't have that type of richness. My richness is life forever.
If that people knew that glorious past, if that people knew that glorious past, if that people knew that glorious past, then they would be more inclined to respect themselves.
I'm not saying I'm going to rule the world or I'm going to change the world, but I guarantee that I will spark the brain that will change the world. And that's our job, is to spark somebody else watching us.
A place where we inform, build, and inspire.
Manifestations. Man up. Manifestations. Man up. Manifestations. Man up.
A place where we inform.
Manifestations.
A place where we inform, build, and inspire.
You want to tell me about yourself? Go get your friends. I'll tell you who you are based on who your friends are.
Don't just live and die. That's an ugly existence. Make your life matter, make your life count. Live a life where people can actually mourn you for the things you left behind, not just because you were around and existed.
We need strong black nuclear family.
Yes. Yes.
That's what it is. Mother, father, son, daughter, all in the same house with a focus on the family unit as a whole.
We had Tulsa, Atlanta, New Jersey, Detroit. We had Rosewood. We had Black Wall Streets all over.
The Republicans aren't for us, but the Democrats aren't for us either. And we should have no alliance to any political party. We only have alliance to what is in our own best interest.
A place where we inform, build, and inspire.
Manifestations. Man up. Manifestations. Man up. Manifestations. Man up.
A place where we inform.
Manifestations.
A place where we inform, build, and inspire.
At the end of the day, as men in the community, we must stand together and be counted, because people look to us for guidance, leadership, and protection. And if we are not about that business, we are not on our job. Here we have grown-ass man conversations in the spirit of that purpose. Anthony Malcolm, Bobby Drake, Major Gage, we are. This is